everyone. Hello. This is Miguel. I am the host of this podcast, Strategy Rewind. I'm a personal growth strategist. That means I help individuals think strategically and accomplish their goals. How many times have you established a goal and found yourself getting derailed or disorganized or disoriented with attempting to actually accomplish it? The idea here is that you would think strategically. The idea here is that you would have a strategy. A strategy is a defined number of steps to obtain a breakthrough moment. So when we talk about strategy, at least that's my definition. But one thing we often ignore is the breakthrough moment. We focus on strategy, and again, I am a personal growth strategist, so strategies is the name of the game, right? However, we often fail to consider what breakthrough moments will cause in our life. We want a breakthrough moment, but seldom do we embrace for impact. And that's what I'd like to talk to you today about. We want to establish goals and begin to work on a plan, and then obviously optimize for a strategy. We do so with the outcome in mind, the desired point. However, what would it mean for you to accomplish your goal? What would it mean? What would change if your goal became a reality? How would achieving your goals affect your relationships or your current or desired status of life? All of these questions are questions that we should ask ourselves as we embark on a journey to accomplish a particular goal. Again, as you think about your desired outcome, as you think about accomplishing your goal, you have to ask yourself, what would it mean if I accomplish this goal? Economically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what would change in my life if this goal became a reality? Maybe your style of living, maybe some of your habits would have to change, maybe your commute would have to change. What would have to change if this goal became a reality? And what would achieving your goals in that process, what would it mean for those relationships that you have? We often don't think that establishing and accomplishing a goal will affect our relationships, but oftentimes they may. You're establishing a goal and you're pressing towards it. At the moment you accomplish it, so many things change, and oftentimes, so too, those relationships that you've considered part of your comfort zone. Now, while accomplishing the goal was and is the objective, often we don't brace for impact, the impact of the breakthrough moment. And on the road to success, seldom do people consider the side effect of that success. The person who worked to become an actor generally doesn't think about what may happen and how their relative is going to want them to pay them money only because they've now become the famous actor. Eventually, however, we've heard so many stories of how athletes worked their entire life to become a professional athlete, and then out of the woodworks comes the unknown Uncle Joe or cousin Susie, who you haven't seen since you were 2 years old. They have zero memory, and yet they come out of the woodworks. And so we don't consider what would accomplishing this goal actually means. And we don't even brace for that particular impact. When you experience a breakthrough, you may also feel as though you've been broken. More specifically, broken from the circle you once belonged to. Because this is the thing that oftentimes we outgrow the circle we keep. We don't realize it oftentimes that in the process of wanting to accomplish our goal, some things will be left behind. Bad habits, bad mindsets, bad ideas, bad perspective, things that used to hold us back. We don't realize that we'll be made free from those things, but you may also be made free from the circle you keep. And this is because not everyone around you is looking to grow. The truth is that growth requires change. and it requires a willingness to change, and it requires a dedication to change. And let's be honest, change can sometimes be good, but oftentimes it has a negative connotation. I mean, consider the moment that you started applying some different habits in your life, some different strategies, and people looked at you and said, looks like you've changed. They don't often say it in a good tone, they mean it in a negative thing, as though to say that change itself is bad. And so when you experience a breakthrough, you may also feel as though you've been broken from the circle you once belonged to. And again, this is because not everyone around you is looking to grow and change. You ask yourself, why is this? This is because they are comfortable. And that's okay. That's okay. So often we want to bring people on our journey of growth that don't want to grow. So often we want to bring people on our journey of growth that don't want to grow. They don't want to change their mindset. They don't want to change bad habits. They don't want to change bad routines. They don't want to change limiting mindset. They don't want to alter any of that. They don't want to change. And if they don't want to grow, my friends, that's okay. That is okay for them, but it's not for you. And you ought not to settle only because everyone else is settling. Our breakthrough often helps us break loose from relationships and mindsets that once held us back. And because we were in our comfort zone, we didn't realize that it was holding us back. So, my friends, as you brace for impact, as you get ready to cross to the other side of the mountain, as you get ready to grow even further, know that the relationships you have may not be the ones that will persist in the long run. The impact of a breakthrough moment brings forth change, and some are tangible and others are not. But all of the changes that do take place are undeniable. Interestingly enough, there are moments we brace for impact, and it doesn't feel fun. Like we see the writing on the wall. We see, okay, there's a shift happening. I better get ready. This isn't going to go the way I wanted to, or it's not going the way I wanted to. You see the arguments, you see the different attitudes, you see how people look at you sideways, and you're like, why are these people changing up? It's that feeling you get knowing others won't approve of your quitting your job despite preparing and planning. Right? Not everybody is in favor of you saying, you know what, I'm going to go all the way through on this plan, all the way through on this goal, all the way through. I'm going to switch career lanes. I'm going to go straight entrepreneur. I'm going to launch that business. I'm going to launch that YouTube channel. I'm going to launch that podcast. I'm going to start doing something that I've never done before. Not everyone is going to approve of you doing that, despite the fact that you may have prepared and that you may have planned for it. It's the feeling you get in your stomach when you know sharing your dreams with the loved ones will bring ridicule. Let's be honest, that feeling sucks because there are people that you expect that will be supportive. When they say, you can't do it that way, that ain't going to work, that ain't the way it has to, let's just be honest. Can we agree that that sucks? So then you have to make a decision. And this is where you have to brace for impact because you know that, okay, me chasing this goal, chasing this dream, me trying to make this a reality is going to cost me this friendship, is going to cost me this comfort zone, is going to cost me this mindset, is going to cost me this habit, is going to cost me something. It's the moment you get a promotion, but you know those in your circle will minimize it because because you went from being a sales clerk to a cashier, and it isn't anything for them. How many times have you just seen a change, just some positive change, got some positive feedback from an employer, from a professor, from someone, and when you share this good news, the people that can't celebrate it with you, those are the people that you got to know that in the moment of your breakthrough, they may not be around. I want to encourage you today to brace for impact. If you're working towards your goal, if you're working towards that breakthrough moment, if you're working towards accomplishing something, I want you to know it's coming, but I also want you to know that its arrival may cause you to have to break free from things that you didn't even know were holding you back. And let's be honest, sometimes we are well aware that it's holding us back. Sometimes we are well aware of the friendships that are not allowing us to grow. Sometimes we are well aware when we've outgrown our circle. Sometimes we are well aware the conversations aren't the same, the interaction aren't the same, the feeling isn't the same. Sometimes we actually see the writing on the wall, but we just don't want to accept it, that it's come to an end, that we've got to say goodbye, that in order for us to be able to reach new heights, we've got to walk away. And so when we talk about growth, so often we talk about growing into something, but we also have to have the understanding that in order for you to grow into something, you've got to grow out of something. It's like a child that grows out of their little kid's shoes and grow into their big kid's shoes. They ain't going to fit both of them. They got to outgrow something in order to grow into something. And if you're looking to grow into the person that accomplishes more, that does more, that lives a fulfilled life, then it may require for you to leave behind some people that just don't want to grow. Ain't no need dragging them around, because what's going to happen is that you're going to try to bring them on your journey and they're going to hold you back. This happens with relatives. This happens with loved ones. This happens with relationships that are either romantic or platonic. The thing of the matter is that we often don't realize that. And it's not that we don't realize it because we don't see the writing. It's that we don't settle it within our hearts that this is what needs to be done. And so, in the process of wanting to accomplish your goals, you're often going to be met with a fork in the road. And this fork in the road is very simple. This fork in the road has made many people trip and not live out their full purpose. But there's a fork in the road, and you can take one road, one part, one journey, which is that it leads you towards the accomplishing of your goals. And it's going to be an adventure, and there's going to be a breakthrough. But there's also going to be some breaking loose of mindsets, of ideas, of perspectives, and quite possibly of relationships. And then there's the other side, the other journey, the other part in the fork of the road, which is that you can keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Keep with those same mindsets. Keep with those same habits. Keep with those same relationships that deep down inside you know aren't actually bringing true value to you. But I'm not sure if you're familiar with the definition of insanity. I know sometimes we can really act insane when it comes to our goal setting and wanting to live a more fulfilled life. Insane in the sense of what the definition is. It's been attributed to Albert Einstein that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And oftentimes we are that way when it comes to our personal growth. I want to grow, but I don't want to have to walk away from my daily routines and habits, even though those daily routines and habits aren't actually helping you to grow. There's a coach of, I believe, of the WNBA. Forgive me for not remembering her name, but there's a powerful quote that she said, that I read recently, and she was addressing the basketball players, and what she was saying was, you all want to have the work ethic of a backyard street baller, but you want to be as successful as someone who's in the league, right? And these things don't match, right? And when we talk about accomplishing our goals and living a more fulfilled life, like, you want to be someone who is physically healthy, but you also don't want to let go of the things that you know aren't really healthy. You want to be someone who is economically in a good position, but you also want to overspend. You want to be somebody that accomplishes their goals, but you also don't want to have any discipline. You want to be somebody that has a breakthrough and is ready to go to the next level, but you also don't want to let go of the comfort zone. And this is where the fork in the road exists. And this is where you have to brace for impact, because either you jump into the possibility of growth, you just go all the way into that direction, or you don't. There is no middle ground. In this sense, there is no, well, let me carve a road that hasn't been paved. No, that there is no other road. There is just these two roads. You can either A, keep doing what you've been doing and expect a different result that you're not going to get, or you can decide, I will work diligently and I will brace for impact and I will move towards the better life that I know I can live, a more fulfilled life, a life full of the greatness that I possess. Like you can either aim towards that and brace for impact, or you can stay where you are. And that's okay, whatever you choose to do, by the way. I don't want you to think, I don't want you to think less of yourself because you choose one way or the other. No, no, no. Whatever you pick is okay. It's okay, because ultimately that will be your legacy. And so now you have to begin to think about, what is a legacy you want to leave? Because I don't know if you've driven by a cemetery, but you've got a lot of headstones and you've got a lot of people that are laying there. And on these headstones, they have the day they were born and the day they died. And in between the day of birth and the day of passing, there is a dash. The idea here is that you would live your dash. The idea is that you would live as though tomorrow the last day. And if indeed tomorrow is the last day, what would be your legacy? Is it someone who embraced for impact and embraced the impact? Or is it someone who settled? Again, my friends, my intention is not to put any shame or guilt on you. My intention is to bring forth a conscience. And if you choose to not brace for impact, well, then okay. Live a life of comfort. Just know that oftentimes, in order for you to live a life of greatness, you have to embrace discomfort. In fact, comfort is the enemy of greatness. But you have the option, and you can choose. I've chosen I've chosen the route that has left me with having to leave behind some friends. I've chosen the route that has forced me to change my perspective in many things, to have a more well-rounded perspective. I've chosen a route that the who I was 10 years ago is not who I am today. And the who I will be in the next 10 years will be totally greater and better. That's the individual I've chosen. That's the route I've chosen because the legacy I wish to leave is of someone who actually made a difference and left an impact, not only in his loved ones, but in the life of those he served. If you want to see my journey, if you want to read about my journey, my personal growth, then you can visit miguellebron.com and there you can subscribe to my writings. I'm actually writing each day what my journey is, the habits, routines that I'm implementing. I decided to do this because there's a lot of people who are life coaches or motivational speakers or people that want to be coaches and I don't know, but I think many of them come across as though they have it all figured out. Maybe it's just me, but when I see that, it really leaves me with this distaste because I always ask myself, well, what exactly are they doing to grow? What are they doing? What are they working on? And I never get to know what they're working on. So, in the intention of being the change that I want to see, I am sharing with you my personal journey of personal growth. You simply have to go to miguellebron.com and there you can subscribe to my writings and be part of the journey. Of course, if you'd like to set up a clarity call, we can definitely go ahead and do that as well. There on my website, miguellebron.com, you can just simply go ahead and select to book a free 30-minute clarity call. And let's be honest, quite possibly you may walk away and say, yeah, I don't want to work with that guy. And that's okay. That's not going to hurt my feelings if you choose not to. That's okay. But at the very least, you'll walk away from that conversation, be one step closer to making the right decision that can change your entire life. So you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Just know that I'm rooting for you. But it's important to surround yourself with people that will nourish your vision.